This show will contain costume changes, a set change, and arguments that you could never believe. Don't go anywhere. Unite for We're Taking You to Court edition of the PHNX Suns show. First brought to you by our friends over at Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHNX365. Deposit 10, place a bet for 5. Get $200 in bonus bets. Almost the whole squad here on a Thursday. I'm Erik. That's Gil. We got Espo and the freckled mama behind the Mac making all of the magic happen. But for those of you who are wondering where Steven is, don't worry. He's got a nice Steven's Studies coming out at 6 o'clock tonight on this very channel, diving into some of the wrinkles the Suns have shown offensively as of late. You always got to tune in when Steven jumps on the mic and breaks down the game. So that'll be up here on our channel, which means you need to be subscribed. We are less than 900 subscribers away, and the PHNX Suns community has been a big part of that, of getting to 50,000 subscribers on this channel. It would mean so much to us if you're here watching for the first time, for the 100th time, and you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, to hit it. Also hit that like button, become a member, become a diehard, all that good stuff. Because we have a jam-packed show today. After a day off, we'll look at the standings. We'll talk about an article that Gil has now been updating on our website, tracking PHNX Suns power rankings. And then we're going to court. Espo is going to get into a costume. And Gil and I are going to go buy or sell on 6 different potential trades the PHNX Suns could make at the rapidly approaching trade deadline. So let's lock in. First things first, how's everybody feeling today?
Look, the Suns offense has more wrinkles than my 42-year-old face does, so you're going to want to go watch what Steven has to say. He breaks it down like no other, and I'm good otherwise.
That's good.
I'm good. Refreshed after the day, and also the Suns are 10 games over 500.
Say it one more time.
The Suns are 10 games over 500 in late January.
Say it full-throated.
The Suns are 10 games over 500 in late January. What's not to feel good about?
Now bring it down.
What's not to feel good about?
Okay, well, let's bring this up. Let's take a look at the standings presented by our friends over at Phoenix Raceway, March 5th through the 8th. Go ahead and check out NASCAR and NTT Series Championship Racing on the same day. The Suns are not only 10 games above 500. The Suns are, as of right now, officially a playoff team. OKC at 1, the Spurs at 2, Denver at 3, Rockets at 4, Lakers at 5, tied with the Suns at 6. But for some reason, even though the Suns have the tiebreaker, they are still at 6. We got the Timberwolves at 7. They've lost 3 in a row. Golden State at 8. Can expect them to be in a free fall if you listen to the audio-only episode that Gil and I put out yesterday. Then the Trailblazers and the Clippers at 9 and 10. They've been playing really good basketball. Outside of the play-in, Memphis is really the only team to keep your eye on there. Then Dallas, Utah, Sacramento, New Orleans. The Suns are the 6th seed in the Western Conference right now. They have won 7 out of their last 10 games. They're on a 3-game winning streak, have a chance to make it 4-2 on the road trip tomorrow. I know that we get excited in these post games, but now that you've had a day to kind of sit on it and you've seen what other teams in the West are kind of shaping out to be, how unrealistic do you think it is that the Suns can't keep moving up here?
It's completely realistic. You look at what Jalen Green means to being back here. You look at the fact they're only 3 games back of San Antonio at 2. They're in a virtual tie with the Lakers for 5th. They're percentage points because the Lakers have played 2 fewer games, and they're only a half a game behind Houston for the 4th. We're not talking enough about how home court advantage is a reality for this team. They have a legitimate shot to land that right now and figure out a way to do that. If Jalen Green, there's not a lot of hiccups in integrating him back into the offense, into the defensive scheme, it's time to start thinking irresponsible things if you're Suns fans, is what I'm trying to say. Things we never imagined were possible. This is where we are at. It's Gil getting engaged to Sydney Sweeney all over again. This is where we are at. Irresponsible things we never imagined in our wildest dreams.
Honestly, that probably would be irresponsible if I got engaged to her. But that's another story for another time. I think, as we were doing a little scoreboard watching on Tuesday, the thing that I remember, we were like, oh man, we would like the Rockets to lose. We would like the Lakers to lose. And the Rockets are playing the Spurs and the Lakers are playing the Nuggets. And what it reminded me was, well, these teams are going to beat up on each other. So even though the Spurs lost and the Nuggets lost that game, you can get greedy, right? Like ultimately, what you can do is control what you can control by winning as many games as you possibly can. Captain Obvious here. But knowing that these teams, the Spurs are going to beat up on the Rockets and the Lakers are going to beat up on the Nuggets and vice versa and this, that, and the third, and just do your work and trust your work, you might end up in a really good spot, especially when you beat those teams in those head-to-heads as well. I know hasn't been good against the Rockets so far this year, but taking care of business against the Spurs, the Lakers, the Timberwolves, that will pay dividends as well. And like you said, nothing really is impossible outside of maybe making up those 9.5 games between here and the Thunder.
But to your point, the conference wins. The Suns have the second most in the Western Conference at 20, only behind OKC.
It's amazing.
Right? And sure, they've played a significant amount of games, but they are just as good as anybody in the Western Conference right now, not named OKC.
Well, and they haven't played a Western Conference game in 5 games, right? That's almost 2 weeks. It's almost 2 weeks now, and they're going to play again on Friday. And then they have another Eastern Conference stint before, so they stacked those wins up really early. And that's why I want to just take a moment and appreciate what you're saying, because again, I remember going back to the beginning of the season, and when this team started to turn around after the 1-4 start. And I know that I was crazy at the time for thinking it, but looking at like beating a team like Portland or San Antonio and being like, oh, like potential standings. And you, I believe rightfully at the time, were like, hey, let's pump the brakes. Let's have fun. Let's enjoy this. I think that what this team has now done, and I think what you can track along, and the beautiful thing about what we do in front of a camera and audio for people to like be able to follow along with, is can see this progression of not just being like, okay, this team is fun, but this team has a ceiling that we never even imagined. And like, obviously, even at the beginning of the season, I was like having fun and enjoying it and a little bit facetious and looking at things, but I don't even think I imagined that you would look at a possible 3 seed here, technically a possible 2 seed. You're only 3 games behind them for that. And to me, I look at Jalen Green for a lot of that right now as well, because this team has already been good, but this injection of hope with Jalen Green has almost been like the catalyst in thinking, okay, maybe we're not just good. Maybe we can be great.
Yeah, I mean, and to be fair, I understood when you were looking at wins against Western Conference teams. It was when we were looking at the standings and where they were slotted like November 15th.
I'm just a psycho and a sicko, man. I don't know what to say.
We knew that. I mean, but yeah, the floor has lifted significantly. We were originally talking about, hey, if they're 7 through 10, they get in that play, and this is a great season. Now we're at a point where we've seen it, we believe in it enough, and I think you go, okay, if you're in the playing still a great season from where you started, but right now your hopes are being in the playoffs and then starting to get closer to that home court advantage. And I imagine that's the way it's been in the locker room too, is now it's the next game, and hopefully that win in that next game gets us closer to that larger ultimate goal of having home court advantage. And when you look at these standings, we know the Lakers are fraudulent.
Yes.
We know Houston has had their problems. I think Denver will bounce back when Jokic is back. So
they've been good without him.
Yeah.
Too.
And I think they return to that second tier right below OKC when Jokic comes back. I think the Spurs may be the team as well that falls a little from grace, where you start going 4-3 maybe on the outside. It could be significantly realistic. And Jalen Green, like we've talked about, is essentially that addition that everybody wants to make at the trade deadline. But the benefit is this guy's been around your culture every day since word one. So when he's coming in, there's not that feeling out of how to be part of the culture. It's just, okay, how do I get back on the court with these guys and make it work?
Absolutely. And I think it's interesting thinking about this. And again, it's too early to a certain extent, but thinking about home court, but also thinking about matchups, right? Like, I know that it's been difficult with the Rockets at times, but you never know, right? Like, the Nuggets have a 1.5 lead over the Rockets right now. So if the Rockets were to make up that ground, or the Suns were to make up that ground, there is a world in which the Nuggets finish 4th in the Western Conference. I don't expect that, but all of a sudden, you could have Denver and OKC playing in a pseudo Western Conference Finals in the second round. You're on a different side of the bracket. Things like that happen as well. So obviously, you just control what you can control, one game at a time, figuring these things out, but understanding where you stand, understanding that you can beat anybody in the Western Conference, and also kind of what we talked about with the Nuggets and the Rockets and their injury issues. These teams are starting to deal with what the Suns have dealt with all season, and kind of, again, you didn't want anybody to get injured, but that's just the reality of the game. Thinking, okay, this sucks for Phoenix right now, but it's probably going to impact other teams at some point down the line. They're going to have gauntlets of schedules that they're going to run into as well. So the fact that you did yourself such a favor by handling the gauntlet that you handled, and also having guys step up to where now you're receiving your guys and you're getting healthy at the right time, that's something you get a leg up over the other guys in the West.
Well, and it's something that we're going to continue, obviously, to monitor when we'll look at the standings. I mean, you're at the point now where you're past the halfway point of the season, right? And you're only getting better. And obviously, tomorrow against Atlanta is a big opportunity for Jalen Green to continue to prove himself. But Gil, it's not just us here, right? And I think for a little bit of time, it was frustrating when we knew what was going on here. We were seeing this turnaround happen so damn fast, and it was like, everybody else is kind of slow to catch up for a variety of reasons. Either they're not paying attention, or they're biased from their preseason take, which Matt Ishbia called out on Twitter earlier today.
Love it.
But Gil, you are now doing for diehards a power ranking tracker on our website every single week. You've picked up some trends on where people are evaluating this team, and it's pretty positive.
Very positive. People are paying attention to what's going on. And the way I looked at it, thinking about it, because the West is just so much stronger than the Eastern Conference, the Suns are 6th in the West, but have the 8th best record in the league, right? Which is nuts to think about that at this point in time in the season. And I was like, okay, well, they have a top 10 record. Are national writers considering them a top 10 team? And the consensus is yes. Like, the lowest ranking in this, the oldest ranking, has the Suns at 10 in the power rankings, and see them in as high as 5 on NBA.com's power rankings from John Schumann. The most common rank was 7, but the fact that everybody is putting this Suns team somewhere between 5 and 10 in the NBA, that speaks volumes. Like, that's the top third of the league. That's the elite realm in the league that we've seen them compete. And I think that now it went from, oh man, the Knicks had an off night against the Suns, the Timberwolves had an off night against the Suns, the Lakers had an off night against the Suns. No, the Suns are imposing their will and making these teams play a certain way. And I think that type of respect that we will continue to see as they continue to get statement wins and do so on a national stage. Probably, hopefully, hear Devin Booker's name called as an all-star. That's been a topic of conversation among a lot of these power rankings. But to see that level of respect is good to see.
I hate it.
No?
I hate it because I like this team
sleeper?
operating as the underdog, and as the you're not respecting us, and as the
I don't think that ever ends, man.
I don't know. When you're getting to being viewed as the 5th best team in the NBA, they're starting to talk positively about you on the low post. Even Bill Simmons has started to tuck his tail in and actually recognize that this team isn't what they thought. They are becoming. I joked that they should be everybody's league pass side piece, but I think they're actually becoming a darling of certain people. I don't like it. I don't think it's really going to impact them, but I love this team operating under, you don't believe in us, we're a sleeper, we're going to stick it to you. And maybe they still hold on to that because that's where it started. But, plus, like Muggs in the chat said, randos are starting to make videos on YouTube.
Yeah,
for
sure.
Remember who's been here all the time.
Jordan Goodwin got a standalone video from somebody.
I saw that. It's
so crazy. They deserve it, and they deserve it. And Espo, I get your point to where there is something about operating with this underdog mentality. But I think because of, the amount of hate and doubt, and look, like, I tweeted that Jalen Green pops when he plays, and the amount of people who had a problem with me about it, about how stupid I am and how bad Jalen Green is, completely ignoring the context of the situation. It's it's still there, right? And these guys, Dillon Brooks, right, was literally told go play in China, right? Jalen Green was given up by the franchise that drafted him 2 overall. I get it. You wanted to trade for Kevin Durant. You still chose to ship Jalen out there instead of other pieces that the Suns reportedly did want. Devin Booker's been hated and doubted his whole career by people outside of this city. You have Grayson Allen, who's been hated by a vast majority of NBA community. Collins playing his first year. Jordan Ott was mocked for the MSU stuff. These are things that it's they don't go away. And because they all internally still have this kind of goal, and I think they're well coached enough and the culture's enough to kind of sustain that. I don't think that this is a team that will ever be like, well, damn, we kind of did it already. I think
No.
they still think there's so much more to go.
Yeah, I mean, no, they're not going to lose focus because, 7 schmucks on the internet like us wrote that
You be nice to John
they were
Schumann.
top 10 in the
And Tim
league.
Cato.
No, to me, that's just me being like, no, we've been on the street. Some of us have been on this street corner longer than others.
It's the PTSD.
So don't
of,
just
like-
don't just buy in. We've been here and we're staying here, kind of thing. No, they're not going to lose focus because of anything going on the internet. I love that this team has been an underdog, and I want to keep that mentality because it's much more fun as a fan base to be that underdog than to see all the momentum shift your way and become the darling that everybody thinks is going to do something. I'd much rather smack some people in the teeth when they're still telling you can't.
And genuinely, I think that the people who know, like I guess, quote unquote, the experts, the people who are covering the game at a national level, I think that they are starting to respect this team, but I'm not sure if fans are doing the same thing. I still think that there's a lot of disbelief in a team, and I think the people, like you said, the Devin Booker disrespect, kind of the forgetting who Jalen Green is. You haven't seen him play all year, and also he was thrust in a difficult position last year in the playoffs. So people probably are, not believing in him as well. So I think that this is probably the team who, the no one believed in us mantra or whatever. I think that they can, similar to, what we've learned about some players, make up some things or find some of those things that people, because I think that even if you ask, like, do you think that they'll be one of the last 5 teams standing? People will probably say no. So I do think that there's still some people out there unsure about what they're seeing and not necessarily watching as closely, but I'm excited for the fact when there are, 16 teams remaining, when you have to lock into this team, I think that's when everybody will be like brought to their attention.
The identity of this team is clear. We've fallen in love with the Phoenix Suns again, with the way that they play, with the way that they're coached, but there is a looming question, and it's one that a lot of people are divided on. Buy, sell, do nothing. What should the Phoenix Suns do at the trade deadline?
I thought the question was, am I the sexiest man in America? That's not where we're going.
There's no debate.
Okay.
You are. The question is, though, should you try to change a good thing to make it a great thing, and is that risk worth it? I promise you a set change. I promise you a costume change, and PHNX Suns will deliver on the other side of our first break. We all know that Phoenix is already one of the best sports towns in America, thanks to the Phoenix Suns, of course, and it's about to get so much better. This spring, March 5th through the 8th, NASCAR and NTT IndyCar Series are racing during the same weekend at Phoenix Raceway for the first time ever. Not just at Phoenix Raceway, but literally the first time ever, and you get a front row seat to all of it. Nothing delivers the intensity of race weekend like the engines firing, the smell of rubber, the crowd erupting as the field charges into turn 1, and you can get the best access in motorsports. I'm talking going inside the garage, walking the track, meeting the drivers, catching the pre-race concert, also watching 2025 Cup Series champion Kyle Larson return to the track where he won it all just a couple of months prior. Get your tickets now for NASCAR and NTT IndyCar Series weekend at Phoenix Raceway, March 5th through the 8th. Secure your seats at the link in our description.
Got to tell you about the husband and wife law team. Gil, can I be a little open and honest here?
Of course.
I went through an accident with my family, and while we didn't seriously get hurt physically, the mental toll was unbelievable. And the mental toll that choosing the wrong lawyer added so much more to it. And I really wish I'd done my research. So if you ever get in an accident, I highly recommend it. But I think where that research will lead you is the husband and wife law team, because Mark and Alexis Breyer genuinely care about making sure your case plays out the way it needs to. If you need to talk to your lawyer, they guarantee you're going to be able to. They are the 1% certified by the Arizona State Bar when it comes to serious injury or wrongful death. They are there to take care of things, and they are prepared to go to trial if it is necessary. So you want to make sure that you've done the research, and you can get in touch with my friends at the husband and wife law team by going to the link in our description or calling them first at 602-783-8841 and tell them PHNX sent you.
Tell them PHNX sent you, and you're here watching PHNX, so why not hit that like button? Why not hit that subscribe button? Help us get to 50,000 subscribers. Let me just say that again. Help us get to 50,000 subscribers. I don't care if I sound desperate. It means a lot to everybody in this building. The literal thousands and thousands of hours that everybody has put in to making this channel what it is, to giving everybody this beautiful space to talk about local sports. So please, if you have the chance to help us, hit that subscribe button and become the biggest, best Arizona sports fan you know by getting the biggest news delivered in your inbox daily at 6 a.m. for free from Alex D'Agostino, who does a wonderful job with our PHNX Daily newsletter, completely free, completely unique writing every weekday morning at 6 a.m. about all local sports. Go phnx.com/newsletter for that. We have now officially entered court. Espo has changed. We have changed seats here. And what we're going to talk about is 6 specific trades.
It was really tough to get the pants off to get this thing.
You know, you
on.
didn't
It
have to
was
take
so
the
fast.
pants off. But
yeah.
I'm glad that you're getting fully into
Good.
character.
Yes.
Because Gil and I
breathable.
Gil and I will also be doing this, where we have 6 different trades where Gil and I will be taking opposing sides on them. Now, I want to preface this by saying there are some trades here that both of us would do and both of us wouldn't do, but we know that the 3 of us can't fully represent what everybody would do, so we're going to do our best to look at both sides of these 6 trades. And then Espo will decide the final verdict based off of our arguments, buy or sell on that specific trade for the Phoenix Suns. But before that, I'd like to just talk in general about the idea of making a trade for this team. I think that as much as our expectations have shifted for this team, I also think how we're approaching this deadline. I would be perfectly fine if they literally did nothing, and that includes Nick Richards because he is on an expiring deal. I'm cool if the trade deadline comes and goes and there's not a single tweet about the Phoenix Suns are trading.
As an officer of the court, I can't show my bias either way. If I'm gonna, am I?
Check out Espo on Southwest Bias every single morning.
Honestly, yeah, I'm hesitant to make any deal. I'm on the record here showing that. I'm also hesitant, the more I think about it, to trade Nick just for a second-round pick to try to get under the tax. I know there's penalties that come with being in the tax for too long, but the thought of having to go into the playoffs potentially if there's a Mark Williams injury with Oso Ighodaro starting and thrusting, come on, Malawach into that backup role when you have higher goals than you ever imagined that you would. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that, but we're going to see what they're able to do. I know the team is hesitant themselves to do something unless it's a no-brainer. This makes us better and raises that ceiling, and they are willing to pay the tax from everything I've been told. So we're going to see.
I think the no-brainer raises the ceiling thing is what I think about, whether that means you're from the fringe of being in the top 6 to like firmly being there or firmly having home court advantage. I think it's worth doing. You know, we've talked a lot about chemistry and obviously apples and oranges situation, but I was brought back thinking about the championship Raptors team. They traded Jonas Valanciunas for Marc Gasol. That trade won them a championship, and they traded a homegrown guy who fans liked. So like, and it was a risk for the chemistry as well. So I think that it's always a risk that you take at varying degrees. I know this team right now has unique chemistry unlike any other team in this league, but I think that if it's a no-brainer and you think that it'll move you up a few slots in the Western Conference, you got to do it.
I will accept Nick Richards for Marc Gasol
right now.
Right
2026.
Sure.
Currently?
Sure.
So, and to get into playing the devil's advocate, which, you know, we will be doing a lot today, which again, I want to emphasize for people.
You're going to be my advocate today?
This is also a team that does have on paper some flaws. And I think the chemistry does overcome those flaws. But I think it's also, you know, unfair to say that this team couldn't continue good chemistry with what they've built as a foundation. And as a team, like look at the Miami Heat, right? For their organization, how much guys go in and out and in and out. They don't make trades, but they have a lot of roster turnover. Culture isn't just one trade, one guy, and I think they've established it beyond that. So when you bring a guy in, you can also talk yourself into, well, Jordan Ott will get the most out of him, like he has been with everybody else. Devin Booker, who he's not going to be traded today. All of that. So let's get into it, and let's start. The Freckled Mamba will be presenting our cases, and Gil and I will be taking opposing sides.
The first one is from
He's
me?
presenting it.
Oh, he's presenting.
He's
My fault.
presenting
Wow, order in the court. Order in the court.
Order in the court.
All right, first one. is the Suns exchanging Nick Richards with the Boston Celtics in exchange for Chris Boucher. Gil, would you like to tell us why the Suns should make this deal?
Well, it's the guy who's not in your rotation for a guy who's not in their rotation. So there's basically, hey, look, maybe this will work for you. Maybe this will work for us. Chris Boucher is a older player now, 33 years old, championship experience, played with the Warriors and the Raptors. Shot blocking, floor spacing, big man, which are two needs that this team could use. Also played at Oregon with Dillon Brooks, chemistry. Also plays on Team Canada with Dillon Brooks, chemistry. So I think about him checking a lot of boxes this team could use. He's in a situation where he's not being used. Why not? Also on a one-year deal, expiring deal, so you're not really losing much. He's actually making less money than Nick Richards.
How much less?
Oh, I think he's making $2.9 million.
Okay.
So about $2 million less.
Good to know.
Yeah.
So look, this is definitely somebody that the theory of is great. Here's the reality. 2.3 points, 2.3 rebounds on 31.8% shooting this year. And I understand. Like, I've sat here and I'll even bring up a Nick Richards trade in the future. He's the easiest guy to look at trading. He's not in the rotation. But when you're talking about a potential, let's say, injury replacement for Mark Williams, if that is to happen, or for Oso Ighodaro, or let's say Kaman isn't ready to figure in there, as much as Nick Richards has his faults, he is a lot younger. He is more athletic. And we have seen him hit a couple of different points where he's like, oh, he's blocking shots, he's dunking. The idea of Boucher is great. He's 33 years old. I don't think he can defend in this system. And I don't know if he is quick enough to be playing next to Mark Williams or Oso Ighodaro when you get a shooting big. That's kind of like, hey, maybe at 6'8", by the way, 6'8", he can fill in that role of a big shooting power forward. I understand he makes less money, but neither of them are playing, and the Celtics are in a worse position with their center position than the Suns are. And he's still not finding a way to see the court as a quote-unquote three-point shooting big for the team that shoots the most threes in the NBA. So for me, he's just old. And that doesn't mean that he can't play, but he would be the oldest guy on this roster by a couple of years.
Are you saying that ageism is where you're landing
in the modern day NBA? But ageism, but also how about other numbers? 2.3 points per game, 2.3 rebounds per game. He also like rarely does play. He's only played in 8 games this regular season. In those games, he's played 11 minutes. So he's averaging 2 and 2 in 11 minutes and shooting 8.3% from deep.
Okay, and
8.3
on how many attempts?
He is taking. It's not showing me the attempts here.
Total
Give me
attempts.
half a second.
I mean, if it's
attempts is, if you're getting this guy as a 3, he's a 6'8" big who's not shooting threes, or if he is, he's not shooting well from deep. At 31, his field goal percentage for a big man is Nick Richards. As much as all of his faults would shoot above 31% from the field if he's in the game.
Did you get me the attempts? We got the attempts
this season
because that whole
he's taking 12 shots. I'm assuming he's taking 12 threes.
So 1.5 3-point attempts per game per stint. He's only played 8. He's hitting 0.1 of 1.5. I think he's hit 1 3 this year.
Yes.
Okay.
He's hit
unlimited attempts. So
12 total.
Do you have a rebuttal to the ageism that I just heard?
Well, as somebody who was born in 1994, Chris Boucher was born in 1993. I think that our best days and years are ahead of us.
You aren't playing NBA basketball. You're podcasting. Sorry, need to make it a personal attack in the court.
That's a very fair point.
Hey, feel free to remind him he didn't play any basketball.
And I'm not arguing for that.
But I would say that, he hasn't been, he's been in the league since 2017. And ultimately what it comes down to for me is the numbers are what they are because he hasn't played that much. I would argue that the Celtics shooting the ball so well, he obviously is on the lower tier of the guys that they have that shoot well. And if they needed him to shoot well, they probably could. I think ultimately it's just a bad fit for him. He's coming off a season where last year he shot 36% from 3 and Toronto averaged 10 points per game over 50 games. Maybe he peaked at that point, but I know what he's capable of. I've seen it. I just think Boston's a bad fit.
Can somebody provide me with Nick Richards numbers for the year and that, because I think
objection.
I can't rule without the proper information here. You want me to make a ruling? You want me to not?
Okay, Nick Richards on the season, 3.2 points per game, 3.3 rebounds per game, so 1 more rebound.
Okay, and how many minutes?
Shooting 49.3% from the field and 9.1 minutes per game. So he's barely playing more. He's played more games and games played and is shooting a better percentage from the field. And look,
Because he's only shooting from close to the basket.
Your Honor, my
correct?
argument is not that Nick Richards is good. My argument is that he would be better than Chris Boucher. Your Honor. Your Excellency.
Anything, yeah, keep kissing my ass. That's going to play better. So, anything else, Gil, that you'd like to provide before I make my ruling?
My last stat: Chris Boucher 1-3 this season. Nick Richards 1-3 in his career. Huh?
It's fair.
Time to pass my ruling. The honorable and amazing and good-looking Judge Espo is going to side in the favor of Chris Boucher becoming a member of the PHNX Suns because he provides you with things that Nick Richards doesn't, including potentially playing in a game. And he saves you the money that you're trying to when it comes to taxes. So I'm ruling in favor of Gil and Chris Boucher.
Yeah, honestly, that's fine. I would be okay. I would be okay with that move.
You're okay with that.
Like, that's the thing is, it does save you money. He's not going to be under contract in the next year, and he is in theory a shooting big. And you've heard my thoughts on Nick Richards.
By the way, chat, if you have questions that I need to ask to either of these counselors, you put them in the chat. I am a judge of the people. I don't judge you. I'm just here to provide for you. You put them in there. I will ask them. And Kara, I don't care that you object.
I'm a man of the people, except for you. Okay. Our next case, Mr. Ayrton.
Another one that we are a little familiar with. The Suns exchanging Nick Richards with the New York Knicks to receive Gershon Yabusele and their own 2028 second-round pick back. Erik, would you like to tell us why the Suns should make this deal?
I have always been in this camp, and actually I was in this camp of let's do a straight-up trade Nick Richards for Gershon Yabusele, a guy who would be a 4, maybe small ball 5, in theory can shoot the 3, set good picks, and I also believe has been in a really rough situation in New York. This is a guy who averaged double-digit points per game in Philadelphia last year, and now I get it. Philadelphia was not a great team, but you wouldn't be asking him to score double digits. I just think that he has little bursts like that in him. Plus, we see the New York Knicks are falling apart. There's not good coaching, specifically when it comes to big men. Now, when I brought this up to a New York Knicks podcaster, not only were they willing to take on Nick Richards, they said, you can have a future second-round pick. In this trade, I have the Suns receiving their own 2028 second-round pick. Always having control of your own picks is great. Now, I will acknowledge why some people would be hesitant. Gershon Yabusele does make slightly more than Nick Richards and is under contract for next year. However, that amount of money that he is making is not substantially more than Nick Richards, and in what I believe you can get out of Gershon, where he fits in as somebody who has experience overseas, as a 4, as a guy who would actually, I think, have a chance to play in your rotation alongside Oso Ighodaro, alongside Mark Williams, Dillon Brooks, Royce O'Neal, even Rasheer Fleming. I think you could see that money would actually be a controllable cost and an asset that you have for the next season, including replenishing some of your own picks. I do not believe that Nick Richards is somebody that you can rely on when the going gets tough. I think Gershon gives you a better shot at more of a position of need.
Counselor, do I need to put a timer?
Probably,
on these
yes.
arguments? What say you, Gil?
You like to kind of gloss over the fact that the Sixers weren't good last year. Are we not sure that this guy is a good production, bad team guy? Empty calories, empty stats. Because like you said, he's on a Knicks team that was expected to compete. And the Suns are expected to compete this year. And 2.9 points, 2.1 rebounds per game this year, and falling out of favor for a team that expected him to be a missing piece. And maybe they made a play to get him so the Sixers wouldn't have him anymore, but whatever it is, he's not producing. It's the same level of production that he had at his first 2 seasons of his career in Boston. Understand, it was tough, but what they have in common, also a good team with expectations. This Suns team has expectations, and I'm curious because we have yet to see Yabusele play, aside from playing for the French national team, for a team that's expecting to win things the way the Suns team is expecting to win things. So I hesitate towards going for a guy or thinking that he's going to be able to contribute and fix everything because he has yet to do that with a team that's impactful or playing for something in this league.
You said he's from France, correct?
He's from France.
Played on team. Is there a chance that he's a double agent that would be helping Wemby if you acquired him in the Western Conference?
Do you think Dillon Brooks is going to help SGA when they play?
Well, no, because we know what Dillon Brooks is made of. I've never met Yabusele or whatever we're talking
Well,
about.
let's be respectful to my client, Your Honor. Gershon Yabusele.
Thank
and,
you.
And the thing with Gershon, where I understand the fall off with the Knicks, you also have to understand that when it comes specifically with the big men on the Knicks, the production, you're not getting it from Karl Anthony Towns in the way that you've seen this consistent all-star give it. And you're not trading for somebody that's going to be making $20 million a year. And as much as I understand that this season has not been great, I don't want to hate on somebody for finding a way to shoot 50% from the field, 38% from the line or from the 3-point line on almost 4 attempts per game in a situation where the offense was not set up to help him. He had a lot of opportunity. What we've seen out of Jordan Ott is that he finds a way to emphasize your strengths. We've seen career years from Royce O'Neal, from Grayson Allen, guys who have been in the league for a long time, but also career years from a guy like Colin Gillespie, who, like Gershon Yabusele, got his first opportunity full-time in the league a little bit later in his career. My confidence is with the hole that he fills, he's not old. He's still hungry to play in the NBA, by the way. This is somebody who said that he wants to get to the point that he wants to have lifetime health insurance, which is 10 years in the league. This is not somebody who's satisfied being a 1 year in the league kind of guy. He wants to make a role for himself. He wants to be in the league for a long time so that he can help him and his family, which fits in with the underdog, specifically dog mentality that the Phoenix Suns are trying to bring.
The one thing I'll say about his age, he was born in 1995, so he's 30.
Well, one moment.
3 years younger.
One moment. Quiet in the court. Don't make me hold you in contempt, Ruby. All right. We're using he wants to have health insurance as the argument here. I'm trying to understand because I believe I believe you're one of the people that also went after DeAndre Ayton when he said he wanted to get a max for his second contract and questioned how that is. So how does the health insurance thing help me here?
The thing that's different about that is that DeAndre Ayton was the #1 overall pick in the
All right,
draft.
that's enough. Go ahead, Gil.
I mean, Yaba was taken right outside the lottery in the 2016 NBA draft. And I point that out to say that Chris Boucher's rookie season was 2017-18. Now he's older. But in NBA years, they got the same amount of miles on their bodies because
not really, because Gershon didn't play for
he didn't play in the league for 5 years.
That's
a good point.
And
Counselor, it's still Gil. Come on.
They've been pros for the same amount of time, is all I'm saying.
Actually,
he's been pro longer.
There you go.
My final thoughts on Gershon is the actual fit of what he brings is different than Boucher if we're going to talk age and whatnot. And when I supposed to give him 25 to life.
Oh, it's coming. Don't you worry, Kev.
And when you get to the point where you have an entire team full of underdogs, right? I think Chris Boucher's been a great player in this league, but he's been around. He's won a championship. He's 33 years old. He's definitely at the tail end of his career. Gershon is the kind of guy who's still out there trying to prove it. And I think this stint in New York kind of reignites that fire, a fresh scene, healthier food, if you're worried a little bit about his weight, over here in Phoenix. And
Hold on. Objection. I know I'm a judge. I'm not the one that's supposed to be objecting.
I'm confused by what we're doing.
I gain plenty of weight out here in Arizona, so let's not say it's healthier food. Continue,
and fair enough. I just think that there is still more potential in what you can get out of Gershon, and he fits that dog mentality. And I think he's just a little bit more of an intricate chess piece that you could have. Like Chris Boucher at his peak right now can be a pawn on the chessboard. He could do a couple of things. He can get the job done. I think Yabusele can end up being a knight. Not the most powerful one, but somebody that provides a little bit different. He can go and zag to the left, to the right in a way that other people on this roster just don't have the build to do.
Chess arguments with our audience.
Why do you're only questioning
I'm asking. I'm just asking. Also, when we look at this, do you really feel that his production is that much better than the gentleman you were arguing against in the last
Boucher?
Boucher.
I do believe so. Last year, Gershon Yabusele in 70 games started 43 of them and averaged double-digit points per game on almost 40% shooting from deep. Chris Boucher has not done that since before 2020. So I do think he would be that. And you're also getting a second-round pick in this as well. Your own second-round pick in 2028, which I do believe is a very valuable thing for a guy in Nick Richards that isn't playing as an expiring contract. You're getting draft capital when that is something that you are always looking for. We've seen what Brian Gregory and company can do when they have second-round picks to draft or to trade.
Gil, any closing arguments?
No more closing arguments. I said what needed to be said.
Well, I'm going to have to go in favor of not making the deal for Gurju Yabadabadoo. The ruling is official.
I'm going to be appealing that one and taking that to the Supreme Court.
I am the Supreme Court. I'm the only court. I'm judge, jury, and if need be, 3-point executioner.
Boucher over Yabusele in Big 2026 is nuts. And a second-round pick. Okay, Ayrton, let's get one more before we hit a break here.
Moving on. The Bulls trade Jalen Smith to the Suns, who will trade out Nick Richards and Ryan Dunn. Gil, tell us why the Suns should make this deal.
So this is me, maybe a prisoner of the moment, but I didn't mention and point out the fact
I
that
haven't convicted you of anything.
that's
You're not
a great
prisoner yet.
point. The moment in my mind, but the fact that Ryan Dunn played a season low 9 minutes in Tuesday's win, maybe it's something, maybe it's nothing, but we've talked a lot about Jalen Smith and how he would fit and check the boxes and answer some needs that this team has. The Bulls are going to ask for something in return. If you're ready to give up, if he's falling out of favor, you make this deal. Now, I still believe in Ryan Dunn, but I think that if you are on the fence about what he is going to be and he's starting to fall out of favor, you act while you still can. And I think this would be the type of move that signifies that you're moving on. He gets a fresh start. He has talent, but you answer a massive need, and you have a guy who's still young and can come in and impact and fill those boxes.
How do you feel it'll impact? I need to know, counselor. If you're going to make this argument to me, you can't just suggest that he's going to impact. I need to know how he's
you're talking about Jalen Smith's size, his shooting ability, his rebounding ability, checking those boxes, his ability to play on the floor and give you a different look in the front court. You can go to big lineups with him. He can space the floor. He can play off the playmaking of other bigs, whether he's playing with Mark, whether he's playing with Oso. We've talked so much about these games. That wasn't a Mark game. That wasn't an Oso game. Now you have the big man that bridges that gap because of his skills. And also, you can kind of finish the story. You can finish the story and give him a second chance to be who he was expected to be when he was brought here initially. Everybody loves a redemption story.
Counselor.
Your Honor, I am a fan of, in theory, the fit of Jalen Smith on this team. I do not want to discredit that. We are talking about a player that only one time in his career averaged over double-digit points per game, and it was his first season away from the Suns. Okay. And by the way, he only averaged 13.4 points per game when he was traded to the Pacers, only 9.2 overall on the actual average for that season. You would be trading Ryan Dunn, who is a first-round pick for this team, somebody who, from a front office that we have seen absolutely dominate when it comes to scouting talent. Oso Ighodaro, you want to talk about being possibly played out of the rotation at a certain point in the year. 5-10 games into the season, Oso Ighodaro was getting maligned by, including me and you, counselor, for his poor play. If we gave up on these rookies the moment that they started going down, we would be no better than Mike Budenholzer.
Phrasing.
With my left hand on the Bible, Your Honor.
Inappropriate imagery. Don't make me hold you in contempt.
And here's the thing with Jalen Smith is you know what you're getting out of Jalen Smith, which is a guy who can't break double-digit points per game on bad teams. Chicago, Indiana, teams that were not contending at the time. Jalen Smith is, if we want to get on Yabu for being somebody who can put up some sort of stats on a bad team, Jalen Smith is that, except for he actually has not put up as good of stats as Yabusele on bad teams. I think that a shooting big and a power forward is a need for this team, as brought up by my last trade here. But Ryan Dunn right now is at the lowest trade value that you could possibly have for him. Trading him at this moment in time when his value is at his lowest and he's still on his rookie deal for somebody who is so far into a season that we know what his peak is would be irresponsible as a front office. I understand that Ryan Dunn's not everybody's cup of tea, but what he can bring in the ceiling of what it is, I'm not ready to give up on yet for somebody that we know can't average double-digit points per game on a bad team, let alone a good one.
That's fair.
Counselor, were you a Sticks kid?
And I understand that there might be some.
I'm asking.
And I understand. I liked the song.
Were you a Sticks kid?
I was all aboard drafting Jalen Smith when that happened.
So you were not a Sticks kid when he was here. Understood. And are you a card-carrying member of the Ryan Dunn left-handed fan club?
I am a card-carrying member.
Okay, and why did you not recuse yourself from this case?
Because there's only 2 lawyers, Your Honor.
Okay, Gil, please continue with your argument, sir. I'm sorry.
So back to what we were saying, and the Bulls are a perennial play-in tournament team, so they're not some bottom dweller in the Eastern Conference. They're the definition of mid, but they're not some bottom dweller in the Eastern Conference. And thinking about what he's done, and the Leastern Conference, some might say, and I appreciate the fact that you said that, hey, Ryan Dunn was a first-round pick by this franchise. Well, guess what? Jalen Smith was a first-round pick from this franchise who, was a member of one of the most successful eras or successful teams in franchise history, albeit a small part of it, but he was there, so there's some familiarity. But thinking about what he's done in the past 2 years, 8.6 points. We talked about the double-digit scoring, but 6.1 boards per game in just under 17 minutes. Like, thinking about the way this team likes to crash the glass, the fact that he's shooting 33.3% from three, which could leave some more to be desired, but also impressive enough to think about the fact that the floor spacing that he would get here, I think that would go up a tick or two. So again, this is me not writing off Ryan Dunn, but if there's some writing on the wall that he's not going to have a role here or they're giving up, why not get some value in return and answer a major need?
Bailiff Arrington, can you please keep an eye on Darth Voida, who says this trade can come sail away, no more need for sticks.
Order in the court.
We cannot allow this kind of 80s band references to derail my case at this point. So please keep an eye on him, Bailiff. So you were in favor of Jalen Green coming back. You're in favor of your favorite player never leaving for excitement.
Your Honor, the prosecution would like to call 602 Chris to the stand from the chat. 602 Chris.
Is that your real name, 602 Chris? Please place your hand on the Bible.
Anonymity, due to the safety of my client, says, how about we develop our players? That's how you build culture. There is an overarching thing beyond just what's on the court for keeping Ryan Dunn here. Ryan Dunn is somebody who's worked his ass off in Phoenix. He's ingratiated himself in the culture, and I understand that maybe at the end of the day, he doesn't end up being the best player for the Suns. There's also a chance that he develops into a starting small forward for this team and one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA and all-defense team. Are you willing to risk the chemistry of a trade for a guy in Jalen Smith is my final question. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to take a risk that Oso Ighodaro doesn't enjoy not playing with Ryan Dunn? That the defensive culture this team has built doesn't sustain with a guy who's been playing on the Chicago Bulls? That is my final argument. I rest my case.
Is there any additional arguments you'd like to make, Counselor?
My last thing is, people always say those picks, well, maybe that chemistry, maybe it's overrated. Maybe the chemistry is so strong that whoever you bring in can uphold that, and I trust the chemistry of this locker room.
Well, I do not like my courtroom being made a travesty, a sham, and a Travis sham mockery. So I'm going to have to declare a mistrial because Erik should have recused himself due to his previous relationship with Ryan Dunn that he did not fully disclose.
He covered the Raptors at one point and was talking about some damn Chris Boucher.
That's a fair point.
He had disclosed that to me privately beforehand.
Then I have disclosed publicly the Ryan Dunn thing. We've all known this. And I'm not the one who brought this trade, Your Honor. He did. Respectfully.
I'm demanding a recess here in my court. You will listen to the following messages. You will purchase from them, and then we will be back.
We've been telling you about Circle K here at PHNX for longer than I've been at PHNX, so you know that if you're a member of the Inner Circle, you're saving money on gas all the time, every single day, plus snacks and drinks. But I want to focus on the other little things that Circle K does. Now, here's a fun fact about me. I'm a little bit of a germaphobe when it comes to some things, and specifically gas stations are a thing. I'm always hitting my hand sanitizer afterwards. I'm like, oh, it's a lot of people touching it. The Circle K next to my house has added a hand sanitizing station and disposable gloves that you can grab and that you can wear while you're filling up on gas.
You had camera. They're like, we need to get this guy something.
We got to do it. And here's the thing, and that's what makes Circle K different, is because they care about their consumers. They know that a lot of people are like me in that sense. And at the end of the day, like, a gas station is a gas station. Circle K, of course, top tier, but I'm going to wear a glove. And now I'm wearing a glove. I feel cleaner after I go and fill up on gas, which is a small thing for me. And plus, I'm saving money. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for full details.
The calendar has turned to 2026. We're all looking for something a little different. And if you're looking for something a little different when it comes to your career or your side hustle, Shopify is there for you because they make launching a business online completely easy. You can have your own story, your own future, and you can become an entrepreneur like you've been dreaming of. We run our shop with Shopify here at PHNX, and it is super easy. And it gives you everything you need to sell online and in person. They are fantastic. Setup is extremely quick, and they even have AI tools that will help you write product descriptions, headlines, and more. Whether you understand SEO or not, they'll help you with it. And as you grow, Shopify is going to grow with you, so you can handle more orders, expand new markets, and do it all with the same dashboard. So in 2026, stop waiting and start selling with Shopify. Cha-ching! Sign up for $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/allcity. That's shopify.com/allcity. Hear your first cha-ching this new year with Shopify by your side. Welcome back into my courtroom. I'd just like to say the gentleman that read that Shopify ad is amazing, and I rule in favor of him anytime we can see him on screen. I also would like to bring up the fact that, Erik, if the glove don't fit, you must acquit. Can we proceed, bailiff? What is the next case on our docket?
Next up, we have an exchange between the Phoenix Suns and the Milwaukee Bucks. Royce O'Neal and Nick Richards get traded to the Bucks in exchange for Bobby Portis. I would like Erik to tell us why the Suns should make this trade.
The phrase "to take money to make money" is universally true. You are not getting what you need on this team if you're not giving up something of value. And what you need is a true to form power forward, an experienced one, a championship winning one, one that can stretch the floor, fits in with your dog style attitude, and can do all of the little things that you need him to do. As great as Royce O'Neal has been this season for the Suns, he's under contract for longer than Bobby Portis after the season, and there is a size deficiency. Bobby Portis can play a small ball five. He's got the intangibles for it. He's got the grit and the toughness for it, but also can play alongside Mark Williams, can put a shooting big next to Oso Iguodala, which imagine Oso handling the ball with Bobby Portis setting a pick. And when you talk about enforcing, we've seen how important it is to have more than just Dillon Brooks with a Jordan Goodwin, or maybe somebody to take the heat off of a Dillon Brooks. Bobby Portis is culture. Bobby Portis is championship level mentality, and he is still an extraordinarily talented and efficient basketball player. This is a win now move without giving up any picks and banking on Bobby Portis being able to do all the things that Royce O'Neal is able to do, but better and bigger.
Why does size matter, counselor?
Your Honor, it's not the end all be all, it is how you use it. But I will say that
Are you saying Jordan Ott does not know how to use
overall
size?
In the NBA, having size does matter. If Mark Williams was 6'9" instead of 7'2", he would not be playing on an NBA court right now, certainly not starting.
Well, what if he could do the same things? You just said it's how you use it, right?
It is how you use it to an extent. 6'9", 250 for Bobby Portis. Not too old, even though he's been in the league for a while. Still a little younger than Royce O'Neal. He's 30 years old. 13.2 points per game, 6.4 rebounds per game, 1.5 assists per game, shooting almost 50% from the field and over 46% from deep. 46.7% on deep. And guess what? He's actually taking over 4 a game. He's 2 for 4.2 per game, which is a career high for him. And he's hitting them. He doesn't foul often. He's only averaging 1.7 fouls per game, doesn't turn the ball over often, and he would be saved from a team in the Milwaukee Bucks who are struggling. You can take advantage of what they have going on there. They're looking for a change. You can buy low on Bobby Portis and still get an incredibly effective basketball player who's doing all of this in just 23.6 minutes per game.
Order in the viewing area. I'm sorry, but please, bailiff, consider putting Charles in a holding cell if necessary. Sorry, Counselor Gill. Please present your case.
Erik, you said a lot of cool numbers about Bobby Portis. Really, really good averages. Really efficient averages. But the number that I want to point out is the number 44. Yes, that's the amount of games the Suns have played in this year, and Royce O'Neal has played in all of them. But he's also made 44 more threes than Bobby Portis this year in one more game. Now, I know Bobby Portis can shoot the ball, but I don't think he can make 44 threes in a game. So I think about Royce O'Neal's three-point shooting and what it means for this team, and the Knicks game where he sticks a massive three to put the game away. Did the same thing a couple nights later in Brooklyn. Cross Burrows, jumper was still where it was. I think that his shooting is so important for this team, and Bobby shoots the ball well, but Royce O'Neal's been one of the 10, I guess, by volume, best three-point shooters this year in the league. And that is a lot to give up for somebody who checks other boxes, but basically you're answering one issue and creating another and making this deal. And for all of that, if you want to talk about chemistry, it's not necessarily worth that price. Now, I know it takes money to make money. Scared money don't make none. But this deal would be so difficult to part ways with somebody who means that much for the floor spacing of the Suns team.
Scared money don't make none. Is that your line? Or
I can't take credit for that.
Okay.
I can't take credit.
We might have to take that against you, though. We don't.
Copyright court, claims court.
Plagiarism is not something we appreciate here in the court. I need to ask you something,
Please.
Counselor. This court has already convicted Bobby Portis for his actions in 2021. Why should I stay that and allow him to come back into the state of Arizona?
Your Honor, if I told you 4 years ago that you'd be rooting for Grayson Allen, what would you say?
I would say he did not rip my heart out.
I would say nobody thought they would be rooting for Grayson Allen, and nobody thought that he would be one of their favorite Suns. If I told you that you'd be rooting for Dillon Brooks 4 years ago, what would you say if you're a Grizzlies fan? You'd say, we don't want that guy on our franchise. Who are we as people to not give people second chances? And if it helps us here, if it helps him, then who are we to deny him and ourselves of that opportunity? And your point, Gil, about the three-pointers, well, that is a great point. Might I remind you, though, who Royce O'Neal has been for his whole career? Your Honor, I ask you a question. I ask the chat this question. Gil, I ask you this question. Has Royce O'Neal ever gone through an entire season without having the type of valleys that we have seen every other year except for this one? And I ask you, are you comfortable betting on that valley not to come after the peak has been this high, this early in the season?
Damn, I'm taken aback. I'm about to be switch on your side. No, listen,
Counselor, keep your composure.
I need to stay composed.
Jeez.
I was just moving. How could you
Jeez.
not? But see, I don't know. I just can't get fully behind it. Think about also who he's playing with. And listen, Devin Booker is an incredible player. I think he's one of the best players in the league, and so is Jalen Green. But Bobby Portis is also playing off of Giannis Antetokounmpo. And a lot of what he's done is the beneficiary of playing next to Giannis Antetokounmpo. Listen, as great as everybody on this Suns roster is, and the Suns are a much better team than the Bucks, there's not a Giannis on this roster. And I don't think that there's anybody that he'll be able to play off of
Your
like
Honor,
that.
disrespect to Oso Ighodaro.
That's a good point.
Sustained. Keep the Oso slander to yourself, Counselor.
So that's all I got.
Oh, okay. Well,
I rest my case.
Didn't know if you wanted to insult any of the other members of the team. Well, this court does not believe in second chances and believes that that Bobby Portis should remain convicted for the crimes that he perpetrated in 2021. So I am ruling in favor of Gil.
To be honest with you, I wouldn't make that trade either. But it's a good thought
was a
exercise.
good argument.
He's been somebody that people
Counselor,
talk
please stay in character here. Jeez.
I do believe in Royce O'Neal. I don't want somebody to clip that. I think that he's had a great season, and I don't want to move him. Okay, we've got more trades.
The Suns exchange Nick Richards and Ryan Dunn with the Mavericks for Najee Marshall. Gil, why should this trade go through?
Your Honor, if I may, real quick, just
Nope,
disclose,
he said-
disclose what could be seen as personal bias. I know in a previous case, me disclosing the fact that I am a member of the Ryan Dunn fan club cost me that case. I would like to publicly disclose that I have been pro Ryan Dunn in many cases for the last year and a half. However, I will talk as objectively, in fact, extremely objectively today. Thank you.
Too late, Counselor. Please continue, Gil.
Najee Marshall. Listen, Ryan Dunn, we know who he is. We know who we potentially could be, but potential and what we see are two different things. And what we've seen from Najee Marshall over the past 2 seasons since he's joined the Dallas Mavericks franchise has been impressive. 13.6 points over 113 games, has done whatever he's been asked of as a starter, as a reserve, after the worst trade in league history, but also playmaking chops. He's averaging 3 assists during his time wearing the Mavericks uniform and just under 5 rebounds. And when he's the feature guy in that offense, he's also done a lot of things. Now, not shooting the ball very well. And that is what it is. But I do think with better spacing in a certain situation, maybe you can trust him as far as that goes. Getting downhill, though, he's shooting 30% from twos this year, but inside the arc, Well, that's 64%. So a guy like that who can be a point of attack defender, his nickname is the Knife. Like, come on, it doesn't get much better than that. But size, 6'6", 220, his ability to guard multiple positions and really just have that dog mentality that fits with this roster. Basically, it's just a dog that you can train to get bigger versus a dog who is already ready to go. And that's kind of what I think about with Najee Marshall.
Did you really bring up the use of weapons in my court? They calling him the Knife.
He is the Knife.
I also need to know, does Marshall dress for less?
Sometimes.
He actually
Counselor.
makes more than Ryan Dunn.
Yes.
But, Your Honor, in order to prove to the court that I am being objective today, I will not bring up Ryan Dunn in my rebuttal. You've heard what I've had to say, but clearly what I say is marred in bias. What is unbiased is the cold, hard facts, the truth. Please take a look at Exhibit A in the evidence. This is an Instagram story posted by, if you look at the Najee Marshall earlier this year when current Suns fan favorite Mark Williams was assaulted by a midget on the court.
Please keep these slurs to a minimum, sir.
By a small person on the
Thank you.
court. With the quote, "Say no more, twin. Don't worry about it. It is not about basketball. It is about humanity." Najee Marshall would not fit in on what we have deemed the best culture in the NBA despite his on-court persona. Off court, I cannot have somebody who emphasizes, encourages the assault of our starting center sharing a locker room. It is dangerous, and quite frankly, it is irresponsible, irregardless of the players that we give up.
Sir, Counselor, were you given this evidence prior to the case? Were you made aware of this when you were preparing?
It was not brought to me, but I'm aware of this. And I appreciate the fact that you brought it up because, listen, this happens all the time in the NBA. And I think back to two players, Kobe Bryant and Ron Artest. They got into it. They were heated. Ron Artest got ejected. And then, you know what? After Kobe Bryant lost in the finals, Ron Artest was waiting for him. We won't say where he was waiting for him, but he was waiting for him. And they met in the locker room. And they said, you know what? We're going to win together. And they put those differences aside for the greater good, and the greater good is winning. And ultimately, when you get in the locker room, and honestly, I could use a better example. What did Devin Booker say? Yeah, I had my issues with Dillon Brooks before in the past. Who didn't? And now look at these two guys. They couldn't be chummier in this locker room. So I think that it's just a competitive spirit, competitive rivalry, and honestly, it'll probably add more sparks to the chemistry in this locker room.
Counselor, is it not true that Najee Marshall also punched Yusuf Nurkic in the face?
Indeed, he did, Counselor.
I'm ruling in favor of this trade for him having punched Yusuf Nurkic in the face, which we all approved of. It outweighs an Instagram post. So, yes, I'm ruling in favor of you, Gil.
If we're keeping track at home, as all, of course, public judges are, where you have your court track record, that is now unanimously all of the trades that Gil has brought or Gil has defended have all been in favor of Gil. I would just like to point that out.
Counselor, I will hold you in contempt if you question the validity.
I didn't question the validity
at any point.
Counselor, I would like for you to show me the proof of when I question the validity besides merely providing factual evidence as to what's been happening.
That was factual evidence. The question,
Counselor, would you say that you are not pro factual evidence?
Did I say you could argue with me, sir? Bring on the next case, bailiff.
Finally, we have a 1-for-1 swap. Jalen Green for Jaren Jackson Jr. Erik, why should the Suns move on from Jalen Green?
Take away the shock of what you just saw, because I understand that trading Jalen Green is something that at this current moment, even for a Suns fan like myself, it is a tough pill to swallow. The Phoenix Suns, without Jalen Green, if you take away the 3 games that he played in, which were all wins, would still be 7 games above 500. If you take away the 2 games that he played in, that he actually played in, they would be 8 games above 500. Jalen Green has only played a total of around 60 minutes so far this year, and a majority of what we've seen from this team is fight and hustle, grit and grind. And what better team to trade with? What better collegiate heritage to trade with than the Memphis Grizzlies and the Michigan State Spartans. We talk about a power forward. We talk about a shooting big. We talk about defense. Well, Jaren Jackson Jr. brings all of it. And I know somebody might bring up, well, what about the rebounding? Guess what? You've got the rebounding. Mark Williams is rebounding. Jaren Jackson Jr. has never played with as athletic, as mobile of a big as Mark Williams. He's never played with an offensive weapon like Devin Booker. We all see how bad things are with John Morant, how bad the coaching situation has been in Memphis since getting rid of Taylor Jenkins. Jaren Jackson Jr. value is at the lowest that you could ever imagine it possibly being for a former defensive player of the year. As much as I love Jalen Green, there is no promise to see that he fits in and he works out. And the fit is, dare I say, damn near perfect. The spacing, the defense, the offensive capabilities, and Jordan on. It all fits for Jaren Jackson Jr.
What say you, counselor?
We're not going to gloss over the rebounding. And I appreciate the fact that you said that there are things that maybe will impact the rebounding, but it is what it is right now. And we're going to look at the per 36 because of the comparison here. This season, per 36 minutes, Jaren Jackson, 6.5 rebounds per 36 minutes. That would rank 9th on this Suns team. Now, why would I, as an NBA franchise, trade for a 6'10" guy who plays the 4 and the 5 for him to be 9th? The 9th best rebounder on my team. Now, that's less than Nick Richards, Mark Williams, Jordan Goodwin, no surprise there, Oso Ighodaro, Kaman Malawach, Ryan Dunn, Isaiah Livers, and Rasheer Fleming. All 6.5 rebounds or more per 36. Obviously, it's skewed. Small sample sizes for some of those guys. But just thinking about that, that's the first thing. Now, I don't want to gloss over that. But the big thing with me is why now? This is the biggest thing. You know, that speaks volumes. It says a lot about your franchise. You work this guy back into your rotation only to give up on him immediately weeks after, because the trade deadline's in 2 weeks. I personally think that this is a deal that's probably going to be available, and maybe you ride this season out and you revisit it. And if the Grizzlies are still selling in the offseason and you don't necessarily like the Jalen Green fit with this team, it might answer a need. But right now, you need to ride this out and see how far a team with Jalen Green and everybody else gets you.
Counter argument.
Your Honor, now the rebounding overall statistics, I understand there are some lows in Jaren Jackson Jr.'s career. This season, he's grabbed 12 rebounds per game in multiple games, 9 rebounds, 8 rebounds, 9 rebounds, like 7 rebounds. And I know that if we look at this, okay, if he is your true center, that is certainly something of concern. He would be your power forward on this team. Plus, we've seen that this team's identity molds their players. This guy, Jordan Ott, tells his players to crash the glass. They're already a poor defensive rebounding team, but they're a great offensive rebounding team. Jaren Jackson Jr. is good enough and has the tools enough to do it when he needs to do it. I would argue that when you are the type of guy in Jaren Jackson Jr. who at a power forward position has had the ball in his hands quite a bit, has had to create, shoot a lot of threes, it's actually harder for you to be out there grabbing rebounds when you're playing with a Zach Edey who isn't like Mark Williams, can't switch out into the perimeter, and finds himself 100% of the time in drop or in the paint. Jaren Jackson Jr. is not one of the best rebounding forwards. He is one of the single best defensive players in the NBA, and he's one of the best big men shooters in the NBA. That is something that can absolutely fill a need for the Suns. This three-point shooting is fantastic for a guy of his size, 6'11", a former defensive player of the year. Him and Mark Williams, with Jaren Jackson Jr. also being 26 years old and being 26 until September, so going into next season, he'll freshly turn 27. You're trading for him at the peak of his career, and you're putting him in a better situation.
May I ask why he's named Junior, and don't we want people that bring more maturity like a senior?
Your Honor, Marcus Morris, or one of the Morrises, was a senior when they were playing basketball in the NBA.
Here,
but when they were in the NBA, I rest my case.
That is unfair, knowing my bias against the Morai. Anything you'd like to add, Gil, before we close this out?
Well, final thought. We addressed the elephant in the room with the rebounding. His three-point shooting is definitely worth acknowledging, and it is something that is, even as funky as it looks, it works. But the last thing I'll say is availability is the best ability. And he has been available for this team. He has been healthy this year. However.
On the Grizzlies.
On the Grizzlies. That's saying a lot. However, 13 times this season he's finished a game with 5 or more fouls, and he's fouled out 4 times this season. He is known, notoriously, for picking up quick fouls. Fouls that some might say are undisciplined, if they're being nice, and if they're being mean, they'll call them dumb fouls. Now, if the whole thing is to have this sprawling, beautiful front court with these two guys, and whatever you want to look at it, if he's not on the court, you can't do anything. And I wonder, and I'm curious, and I'm concerned if he is guarding whoever he's tasked to guard, if he's sharing a front court with Mark Williams, will that make him more prone to getting in foul trouble? And you make this deal for somebody who's only playing 20, 24 minutes a game because he can't stay on the floor because of his foul problem. I don't trust it.
Counselor.
My final thoughts are.
Oh, you want final thought? I mean,
it's okay.
I mean, you've given like 6 final thoughts. Is your case rested?
Yes.
All right. Counselor, you had me intrigued with the words grind and Michigan State University. But then you mentioned the Morai. I rule in favor of Gil. Congratulations, Jalen Green. You can remain a Phoenix Sun.
For the record, I wouldn't do that trade. And now that we're out
Counselor,
of character.
stop hedging.
No, because I got people, and I get it. He check just showed up here. You didn't see the disclaimer here. These are merely trades that people have either brought up or that we're arguing. There's a pro, there's a con. So
yes, because people really believed I was a judge too, or throughout this program.
I think my favorite part of the thought exercise is like everybody talks about, oh, trade Ryan Dunn, da 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 da, and then like when we start proposing it, no, we got to keep running. We got to keep running.
Don't say we. You proposed.
When I proposed, I guess I proposed a couple trades.
I'm just kidding. I literally just used my own argument, the reverse of it against you.
That's fair. That's fair. But it's good. It's good to see now. It's almost one of those things where like you don't necessarily realize how much you appreciate a guy until you realize what they probably would net in return, and you'd rather bet on the fact that look, Ryan Dunn can be who he can be in the system. Don't give up on him a year and a half into his NBA career. A year and a half from now, we could be seeing the finished product of exactly who he was projected to be when he was drafted last year in the first round. So that was fun to see people say, wait a second, this type of return we can get for Ryan Dunn, I'd rather keep him and see him develop.
Now that you're out of character.
Oh, I'm not out of character. This power has gone to my head, and I will remain in this robe and be passing judgment for the remainder of said season.
Now that court is adjourned, and we're in your quarters, what do you think about some of these trades? Were there any that you would actually press the button on and do?
I'm not making a trade. I'm rolling with this. I've seen too many times that you take chemistry for granted. You take, not you, the greater.
No, I hear you.
Take all of this for granted, and you don't realize what you have until you no longer have it. Roll with it. Don't mess with the chemistry. See how far you can go, unless there's some complete no-brainer, which none of these struck me as a complete no-brainer. So I am going to say at this moment, I stay completely away from any deal at this moment.
The only two trades that I would do are the two that only send Nick Richards out. So Richards for Yabusele and a second-round pick, the one I proposed. And I would do Nick Richards for Chris Boucher just because neither of them play. The theory of Boucher could work better. Are there any of the other ones that you would do, Gil?
Really, no. I mean, I did, like I was saying it kind of in character, but genuinely speaking, like if this Jalen Green thing goes sour at some point, which I don't think that it will, but, I think the Grizzlies are in a weird spot. And if they end up having a fire sale, Jaren Jackson Jr. is a very valuable player in this league, and sometimes teams have to trade good for great. We've seen that happen in the past, and that lead to championships. But I think that you'll have a better assessment of where you are and how far you are from being a championship team. Shoot, you might be hosting the Larry O'Brien Trophy for all of that come June. So, once the offseason kind of arrives for all 30 teams and you assess where you are in relation to the rest of the league, then you maybe think about a big swing like that. But I think that, again, 3 games of Jalen Green. But, yes, of course, the Nick Richards trades for Boucher, again, just try something different for both of those guys. But Yabu makes sense. I think he's given him being like the small ball 4-5 and his ability to fit within this system would make sense as well.
For the record with Jaren Jackson Jr., I know, like, the weird thing with the NBA right now is you look at Trae Young, he was traded for CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert.
Correct.
Ja Morant, there's like nobody out there that wants to trade literally anything for him. What is the value of Jaren Jackson Jr.? If you don't want to trade Jalen Green, but you still want to take a shot at when his value's at the lowest and the Grizzlies are desperate, the money does work for Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, and Nick Richards.
Oh, hell no. If I'm going to do it, I'm doing it for Jalen, right? Because that's a lot that you're giving up there that's played into your chemistry and your success. I think, honestly, that's one, like Gil said, I look at in the offseason probably. It makes a little bit more sense when you have a little bit more understanding. I am very much in the camp of Stan Pat. But if they did a trade like that, I would understand the thought process behind it, that they look at it and they go, that could make us significantly better now and in the future, and it roster balances. But I would be very hesitant to do anything this year.
And I think with that, just that specific trade, just to round things out here, because I am team no trades. I've been kind of saying that and leaving breadcrumbs on our podcast for the last couple of weeks, where I'm just at a point where you just gotta let a good thing be a good thing. You know, if you dump Nick Richards, then you dump Nick Richards. Like, it is what it is. I don't think that they would do it for Yabu straight up because he makes more money for another year. But if they got to pick back, I think that they might consider that. The idea of Grayson and Royce and Nick for Jaren is your starting lineup would be Devin Booker, Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Mark Williams for the future. Or come on, if you look the next couple of years, that's a top 5 defense in the league off of tools. And I know that the Suns have one right now, but it does feel like they're overachieving. Royce is on the other side of 30. Jaren Jackson Jr. would be 27 years old when next season started, just freshly turned. Grayson's been great. You can't really replace his shooting that well, but you can get shooting on the margins. Sam Hauser is an example for Boston. You'd still have Colin Gillespie hopefully re-signed off the bench for next year. Triple J would be an investment into the long-term upside, but also financially as well. So that is the only player that I think is a star that could be moved that I could see fitting on the Suns. But I think we're all on the same page here. Ayrton, do you have any thoughts on any trades or anything since you were presenting things today?
Hashtag team no trades.
Hashtag team no trades. We should probably just start that as a thing.
Mark, I understand that there's, you're looking at it and it'd be dumb to remain in the penalty. I do also understand, based on my conversations, that they would consider trying to get under it if they're not going to make a bigger move to go further into the tax. That makes sense. When I say no trades in general, I mean nothing that would significantly impact the chemistry that you've built. Now, am I concerned about depth when it comes to the center position? Yes, but if they feel that they can go into it with Mark's injury history and that might actually have to be a guy that they'd lean on, I fully trust that if that's the route that they go to try to lessen to move out of the repeater tax and not freeze your assets at some point.
Hashtag no trades except for Nick Richards.
No major trades.
No major trades.
I was going to say, we're 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now, the dust will have settled from the trade deadline. And I genuinely believe that when it's all said and done, we'll probably be sitting here talking about maybe a salary dump, so to speak, to free up a roster space to bring up some of the guys who are on two-way deals.
Your Honor, I am appealing on an earlier case. I just went to go check the money on Nick Richards and Chris Boucher, and it doesn't work.
Please exit my courtroom.
On Spot Track.
Thanks for watching today's episode here of PHNX Suns. I'm being in my courtroom. You can follow him at Erik.
Celtics can't take on more money than what they send out.
ERIKRUBY. You can follow Ayrton behind the Mac. He's at Freckled Mamba. You can follow Gil at Gil McGregor _. The underscore is there because he makes such damn good arguments. He's got to keep them somewhere. And then you can follow me at Espo. You can follow the show at PHNX _Suns. And remember, hashtag team no trades. Ahoy, hoy.
We all silly like the mayor.